Okay, so you know how we always hear that word conspiracy and we're like, ooh, scary. I don't want to touch
Yeah.
that.
Like next subject.
Yeah, totally. But the sources we're diving into today, they're kind of asking us to like pump the brakes on that knee-jerk reaction.
Hmm. Interesting.
Because, and they make a pretty good point, at its core, a conspiracy is really just secret planning, coordinating to get something done. Like think of a football team, right?
Yeah.
Huddle up. They're making a secret play.
Okay. Yeah, I get that.
It's just that bigger groups, they just do it on a way, way bigger scale.
Hmm.
So in this deep dive, we're really going to try to like pull apart this whole idea of conspiracies, look at some that are actually like documented, proven, and try to figure out why they freak people out so much. Why do we have such a hard time just accepting them?
Yeah, it's really wild how just saying the word conspiracy like instantly makes people shut down. Like they can't even think straight anymore. But if we just like try to forget all the baggage that comes with that word, we're basically left with just the fact that yeah, people in groups, they get together in secret and make plans.
Right.
And yeah, sometimes those plans benefit them and maybe screw someone else over. That's just how it goes. So the real question is, why are we so quick to dismiss it when it happens on a bigger level? Like, why is that so hard to swallow?
That's the thing.
Yeah.
And, one of the sources brings up this crazy example. I mean, like, genuinely shocking.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Operation Northwoods.
Yeah.
So get that it was an actual proposal.
Hold on. Actual proposal? Like official?
Official U.S. military proposal signed by the Joint Chiefs of Staff to fake terrorist attacks
What? Wait, what?
on American soil to get people riled up to go to war with Cuba.
No way.
Yes, way. It's declassified now. You could read the documents. It's all right there in black and white. Like, how can anyone just dismiss every conspiracy theory after knowing this actually happened?
Right. Talk about a wake-up call. It's like unsettling, but also like it makes you wonder what else is out there. And I guess it shows that, yeah, powerful groups, they can be deceptive if it, gets them what they want. Scary stuff.
Totally. And the source also kind of throws some shade at, well, the media. They're like, why do they ignore or downplay some of these conspiracies that have actually come out?
Oh, good point. They brought up the Bilderberg meetings, too.
Right. Remember when people thought those were just like a crazy internet myth, like a bunch of tinfoil hat stuff?
Yeah, I remember those days.
Now it's just like, oh yeah, those meetings, the global elite, they hang out, talk about who knows what, no big deal.
Yeah.
But it makes you think, what else starts as a conspiracy and then just becomes like an accepted part of reality?
Yeah. Makes you think about what we choose to believe and what we just like flat out reject. It's tricky because, yeah, we got to be skeptical, but being cynical all the time, that's just going to keep us from seeing the truth, even when it's right there in front of us. I think the media, they should be digging into these things more, but sometimes it feels like they just don't want to touch it.
And then the deep dives gets into this journalist, James Corbett, and his book, Reportage. He does all this like intense research, super detailed, evidence-based investigations into all these global conspiracies. The source was basically praising his like dedication to digging up the dirt and exposing all these hidden agendas.
Corbett's work, I mean, from what they say here, it really highlights how important it is to not just like take things at face value, like we got to do our own research, look at the original sources, and not just accept the official story.
But okay, here's the big question. Why are we so resistant to even thinking about this stuff, even when there's evidence, right? Like it's right there.
I think the source is right. There are some serious mental blocks we have to get over.
Totally. Like the thought that the systems we rely on, the institutions we trust, could be corrupt or even working against us, like that's terrifying.
It really is.
It messes with our whole worldview,
Yeah.
The source even mentions this novel, Jones Plantation, as a fictional story, but it shows how people can be tricked into believing that a system that's actually oppressing them is actually good for them.
Yeah. And I think a lot of that comes down to just wanting to feel safe and secure.
No.
Like we want to believe that the people in charge, they know what they're doing, that there's a reason for things.
Absolutely.
Confronting the idea that we might be lied to on a huge scale, that's like next level unsettling.
Yep.
So much easier to just stick with what's comfortable, even if it's not true.
So basically what we're getting from all this is don't believe everything you hear, but don't instantly dismiss everything as a conspiracy either.
Right.
Got to stay critical, look at the evidence, and think for yourself.
And I think, if we can wrap our heads around the fact that, yeah, people make secret plans all the time, and sometimes those plans are huge and affect a lot of people, then maybe we can start to have these conversations without freaking out or shutting down.
Yeah, I like that. So given that we know for a fact that these things happen, and that it's totally human to want to avoid stuff that makes us uncomfortable, what other events that seem crazy on the surface, might actually deserve a second look, a deeper dive with open minds and, actually looking at the evidence? Something to think about.
Definitely something to think about.
Thanks for joining us for another deep dive.
Absolutely. It's been fascinating.
We'll see you next time.
See you